Willkommen, bienvenue, welcome. This is Bradford Donald Keller Townsend, thrice knighted, benighted, Grandmaster Knight, illuminated magician, among other things. This video is concerning first farewell to George Herbert Walker Bush. He was a distant cousin of mine and a friend, and I will miss him. Haven't watched any videos or read anything about him, as it's all too emotional for me. As an illuminated secret society insider, part owner of the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank, it is private, with all, the backroom dealing insider knowledge and foreknowledge of what is going on in the financial markets, with the big down day yesterday, and it being a day for naval officer, father, pilot, CIA director George Herbert Walker Bush. The biophysical economic viewpoint. Many bankers and economists, they all think about debits and credits and other indicators, gross domestic, gross national product, and that those type of indicators. I'm talking about it from a reality scientific standpoint, natural philosophy, natural sciences being biology, chemistry, physics perspective. So the reality is that we are in an unsustainable mechanical fossil fuel powered civilization. We use now 100 million barrels a day of crude oil, from everything from vinyl siding, paint, and asphalt roads. Also, our crops are sprayed around the world with petrochemicals. The system is unsustainable. We don't have the minerals to keep making machines and growing the world economy. The global economy needs to manufacture fewer machines and start going back to a muscle and wind, wood-powered civilization. It's unsustainable, and people just keep kicking the idiom in English is kicking the can down the road. Everybody the time the can has hit the other curb, it has stopped. It takes more and more energy to mine at a time when our energy has long peaked and is in decline. Uranium may be the first major source of energy to be depleted. We have pretty much exhausted our anthracite, coal. When you think of coal, like, the kind of coal that you would cook on your Barbie if you're in Australia. I have family and friends in Australia. That type of coal, that black stuff that you put, used to maybe put it in the grill if you're camping at a park or something, and putting a steak on the grill, or some ground beef. That is over with. That coal has pretty much been pulled out of the earth, and we live, on a rock planet with a dense, more iron-based liquid core that's slowly churning around turbulently. Um, the crust of the Earth, the deeper you have to go down in the Earth to bring up coal, the more energy, going against that gravitational field it takes to lift it. At the same time, at 100 million plus barrels of crude oil a day, it's hard to imagine there's 42 gallons, and there's more than 2 liters in a gallon. So, if you look at it that way, I think it takes, huge amount of oil just for one day's operation of the global economy. And we're in a global economy. Um, every economy, the Saudi Arabians who have oil depend on Americans, Germans, Japanese to give them their trucks and their construction equipment and everything, because they don't manufacture any of it there. And then the Japanese have no oil or fossil fuels, basically, or uranium. And so all that they're totally dependent on their energy to keep their homes warm in the winter and cooled in the hotter days of summer, like in Okinawa. So the global economy is all interconnected, and in this giant network, multinodal network, you have a node, and the node, doesn't just have a binary on and off. It may, might have 6,000 connections. So you have a very, if you were to make a 3D holographic diagram and project it, in your room, you would see the nodes are all connected, and the system is come to an end. Now, where that comes in is the smart money, the people at the top of the pyramid where I am. We know this, and the reason we are selected to be at the top of the pyramid is because of our rational, empirical thinking. That's what it means to be enlightened. You're not deluded by superstition. You're not an optimist. Neither are you a pessimist. You try to be accurate as possible, precise on the way you see things. And at some point, and I think that point is reaching soon, the smart money has already taken a lot of their digital wealth and turned it into concrete wealth. They have bought yachts or airplanes or horses and stored up water and arsenals of weapons and ammunition and medicine and those things in one of their second or third or fourth homes, in a rural area, and formed networks and to defend their property. So the smart money has prepped, and they have made plans because the mechanical fossil fuel uranium powered civilization that we have is unsustainable, and there are no non-renewable solutions. If there's simply when we're losing farmland in the tens of millions of hectares every single year, and it's terminal. The global economy is on hospice from a science standpoint, from a physics, mechanical, classical mechanics, thermodynamics, chemistry, knowledge view. It cannot continue. So there's not enough surface area. You can't have wind and solar without fossil fuels. They require diesel-powered trucks to bring back and forth and to do all the maintenance, because you can't use battery-powered vehicles or machinery, electrical-powered machinery, to do that work. the energy density of batteries is too small, and the most energy dense batteries that are currently able to be mass produced are from lithium, and lithium is rare and only in a few places on Earth and being rapidly mined, and so that is not a solution. We need the same land that wind and solar likes, which is flat land, is also required to grow our food. So it's just the low, and they're intermittent, and they're embodied, and they're literally made. Their materials are made from fossil fuels, and it requires huge amounts of fossil fuels, such as smelting. These giant, you melt ores and things, different minerals at very high temperatures, and it's usually with natural gas or coal at the factory. So they cannot be made without the fossil fuels as both an ingredient to the recipe and to in an analogy to heat the stove, to melt it like you melt butter in a pan, or on your stove. So it's both the ingredient, like you would have margarine maybe made out of crude oil, and it is melting on a stove, and the stove is heated by a fossil fuel. So we're at the end, and the mass media is trying to keep the unsustainable system going a little bit longer, and to lie to you. But as more and more people come to the reality that the system is unsustainable, and we're depleting the inputs that go into it, such as fossil aquifers, fossil fuels, etc., and more people become aware and don't want to be in these digital, abstract, non-real assets because they're afraid they're going to evaporate, or they want to convert them into things that are tangible, it will come down. And I think there's too many people putting out the biological, physical, earth science standpoint out there, and as that meme goes out there, then and it propagates. It can propagate very fast, like a cold virus. And as the knowledge of the biological, physical aspects of the end of mechanical civilization spread, and it can spread very quickly nowadays, and then people want to get out of that system and convert to concrete assets before the bubble collapses. More and more people are going to say, "Oh, it's time. I'd rather have horses and farmland, or take out $40,000 and have a well powered by a windmill that I'll probably be able to maintain myself to get fresh water from the groundwater under my homestead, instead of having it into a mutual fund of blue chip stocks or high grade rated bonds, all of which are going to eventually evaporate. And all they are is X's and O's in computers held in memory. And in a millisecond, a thousandth, a millionth of a second, they're digital, abstract wealth. Many of these billionaires, in faster than you can blink your eye, could be having negative net worths in this system, and all they'll have is the concrete assets. If they did buy a country home and a couple of horses and that type of thing, that'll be all the real wealth, and any gold coins they have in a safe there, that kind of thing, will be all they have. You can go from being like Jeff Bezos, could have a negative net worth in a couple years, and there could be no Amazon, which is it's an unsustainable business model, and the energy that goes into Amazon is a finite quantity and being rapidly depleted. I think I made my point. I'm going to go ahead and post this video. You know, as an illuminated insider, you say, well, why is he? Because with the system having come to an end, the global mechanical civilization, I have nothing to lose. You know, in that regard. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much. Adieu.